Yesterday was the 1 month anniversary. I guess the day you remember the fact that Israel was attacked so violently and brutally. And my wife and I, Kevin, were watching some of the testimony yesterday from the family members of the Hamas hostages, and
So hard to watch.
it was incredibly difficult. You can feel the pain, the agony that they've been going through for the past month. Some of them not knowing what's going on with their kids or the family members. So, but for me, two major takeaways. One is that they were adamant that there should be no ceasefire. Don't even consider it until all the hostages are released. Why is that even being talked about? And the second takeaway was, we're next. And that's what one of the family members said, directing his comments towards these Hamas supporters out here in the West who think this is some faraway conflict that has no bearing on their own lives here in the United States.
Yeah, the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, stood alongside families of the hostages. It was tough to watch. The mother of a 26-year-old who was captured by Hamas terrorists at that festival in the Israeli desert. Families are desperate. They're demanding answers. They're seeking assistance from lawmakers, emphasizing the need for support from both Israel and the United States. Do the families have the ability to influence politics in this war? Let's bring in Roshini Rashkumar, political strategist, attorney, and the host of the Crisis Files podcast. Good morning, Roshini. How are you?
Good morning, Kevin. This really is such a crisis that's not only happening in Israel, but obviously around the world, and so many tentacles that spread into the United States.
Yeah, Joe Biden had said these hostages and getting them released is a top priority. But, day to day, most of the focus is on, a pause, humanitarian crisis, moving in on Gaza, strikes on the ground, strikes on the air. We don't hear a lot about efforts to get the hostages released. These families on the 1 month anniversary made a very strong appeal. Do they, by coming forward, do they have the ability to draw more attention to the potential release of their loved ones?
We definitely have seen it in so many situations when people speak out, especially when Americans rally and we use our voices, no matter what stripe we are, but we use our voices against negative forces. It does have an effect, because I think a lot of times any bad actor wants there to be silence or wants disinformation. So it is always a good idea to uncover and to be transparent. It's just there are so many layers when it comes to this conflict. And I even hesitate, as someone who is not an expert in Israeli-Palestinian relations, to even comment. But from the crisis angle, there are so many layers. There are the personal, what you've talked about, the humanitarian, the real family issues, the real life and death and terror situations, which I think cut across all political lines, all racial lines, all nationality lines. And that's what I hope we as a world community can come together and find some actual justice.
We all know negotiations are going on behind the scenes. The families know that. The families don't want to interfere with anything that might lead to the release, but at the same time, they want to make sure as much as possible is being done. Do you think they come out at these periodic times, like the 1 month mark, or do you think they seek as much media attention as possible to make sure the focus is on their loved ones?
My sense is there won't even be agreement among those families that are waiting for answers, waiting for loved ones. There's likely not going to be agreement among them, and maybe we're going to see some kind of mix. Some voices that will always want that attention and they'll get as much media attention as the media will possibly give them. Some that will look at these milestone moments. Certainly the 1 month mark is a milestone moment. In fact, I found myself thinking about that yesterday. Oh my goodness, this is the 1 month mark since all of that erupted on October 7th. So no matter where we are and what connection we have to it, there's that timeline and those milestones. But then there's that constant drip of attention, of action, of questioning that needs to be out there on a certain level in order for us to get answers. I mean, we can't fully know what's going on behind the scenes in these negotiations, and certainly whomever or the people doing those negotiations don't want to tip their hands. But sometimes when they read the headlines or turn on the news or turn on your show, when they hear these voices, maybe it does make them act more quickly or want to act more quickly. So I'm never going to be against people coming out for justice for their families, especially in a country like the United States where we're supposed to have the freedom to do that.
Yeah, we have the freedom to do that. But in terms of these families of these hostages, I mean, they're likely paying attention to what's happening on the world stage and the rhetoric that is out there in the media, and frankly, from some of our own lawmakers here. What measures do you think that it would be appropriate for, U.S. leadership and those in the West to take to assure these families of these hostages that their plight is not being overlooked, it's not being forgotten, and that we stand with them, do everything we can to make sure that their family members are rescued, if that's possible?
Tom, I think U.S. leaders have to be absolutely clear that they do support and they stand by these families, but they also have to know that they don't have all the answers. I mean, the fact of the matter is not every U.S. leader in the Congress and the Senate, whatever level you want to look at, are the ones at the negotiation table. So they can't make promises, unfortunately. This is very much in that international relations situation. It is very much across the ocean from us, the people that have the power to even say yes or no to things. So this is where diplomacy matters. And this is also a time when it's hard for the United States because we have been hit hard on the world stage. Our credibility has gone down. So some of that plays into this, Tom and Kevin, in a very big way. But diplomacy really has to rule for anything to be solved over there, especially by way of the American families that are waiting to hear about their hostages.
It's very interesting because prior to this attack on October the 7th, the issue of Israel became kind of a flashpoint within the GOP debates. I think it was his first or second debate where Nikki Haley and Vivek Ramaswamy kind of went at it regarding Israel, very much disagreeing on the amount of support we provide them. Who benefits now as a result of that? You look at Nikki Haley's numbers are rising, Vivek's are not. Is this going to be an issue that comes to the forefront once again tonight in this debate that's happening tonight?
Oh, of course. And the thing is, any issue that one candidate or another can grab and really get to people's heartstrings. I mean, we saw this in some of yesterday's election, when it came to issues of abortion and things that are very personal in nature, and sometimes went counter to what you thought a certain U.S. state would do on that issue. So these very emotional issues that come down to hostage-taking, humanitarian aid, death, dying, people not knowing, kidnapping, all of these things. So if a politician can grab onto one of these issues and make an articulate argument that pulls at the heartstrings and the minds of American voters, it absolutely will matter. So it's not surprising to me that this topic has affected some of the poll numbers.
Yeah, it seems like it has. Always appreciate your perspective on this and your insight. Roshini Rajkumar, political strategist, attorney, and also host of the Crisis Files podcast. Roshini, thanks so much.
Thank you, guys.